One of these things is not like the other. One of these things involves J.J. Abrams. Readers, I know a good amount of you don't really care for Henry Cavill, his portrayal of Superman, or both. Personally, I think he's a good choice for Clark and would really blow the role out of the water if he was given a script and a director that knows what makes Superman, Superman. And I admit, finding out that he was cast as Geralt for Netflix's series adaptation of The Witcher made me worry that I might never see Cavill have another shot at giving us an authentic, bona fide Superman. Then, about a few days or so after Zack Snyder and HBO Max announced Zack Snyder's Justice League for the streaming platform, word began to break that Warner Broters and DC Films have recently gotten in contact with Henry Cavill with the intent of extending his contract for future movies in the DCEU and beyond. For me, that was excellent news. Like I said before, I believe all he needs is the right script and the right director. And considering that DC Films got all the legalities settled with the Siegel and Schuster estates handled, they don't have to rush into a production for Superman's next solo outing like they did with Man of Steel, and can properly take their time in finding a proper writing team and director that can do the character justice. At least that's what I used to tell myself to help me sleep at night before I got me a weighted blanket, which I highly recommend that you get if 2020 is becoming a bit too much for you. It's definitely worth the investment. I love mine. Then I learned that other people who heard about the news were acting like they were in the middle of breaking the Da Vinci Code. Because not even a week after the announcement of Henry possibly putting back on the cape if everything goes right with negotiations, people were already convinced that a project for him was already in the works. The person responsible for that project? None other than J.J. Abrams. Now, this isn't the first time J.J. Abrams and Superman have been used in the same sentence together. Before Warner Brothers chose Christopher Nolan's Man of Steel pitch, back when they were looking to get a movie in production in order to avoid certain rights to revert to the Siegel and Schuster estates, Abrams actually pitched this to Warner Brothers back in 2002 when they decided to go with Nolan's take on Batman with Batman Begins in 2003. His was called Superman Flyby, and it changed a lot about the initial origin of Superman in order for the character to fulfill a prophecy trope. Instead of the planet being destroyed, Krypton will be in the middle of a civil war between Jor-El and his brother Kal-El. And in order to fulfill a prophecy, Jor-El sends Kal to Earth to be raised and powered by the sun with the hopes that he would return one day to liberate Krypton. Abrams wrote the script and Brett Ratner was tapped to direct it, with the late Christopher Reeve being brought on as a character consultant who really pushed for Smallville's Tom Welling to play the part of Superman. But instead, the movie was shelved for Bryan Singer's alternate timeline sequel to Superman 2, Superman Returns, which was released in 2006, 1 year after Batman Begins. And that is the only instance of a J.J. Abrams Superman project existing ever. And it exists in the same way like Joel Schumacher's Batman Triumphant or Tim Burton's Superman movie that never got made exists. You know, it's like it's archived in a way where people can actually look back at the concept as a fully fleshed out thing that just never saw the light of day. But there's a reason as to why there are new rumors about J.J. Abrams heading back to the Superman side of DC on film, and it involves something that recently happened between his production company and HBO Max. You see, ever since it was reported that Warner Brothers contacted Henry Cavill to extend his contract to play Superman in more projects for DC Films, as I've stated before, rumors have been going around saying that the Superman movie in question will in fact be handled by J.J. Abrams in some form or fashion. It doesn't specify if he'll be writing it only like he wrote Superman Flyby. It doesn't specify that he'll be only directing it like Star Wars and Star Trek. But we do know that his production company Bad Robot is involved in some type of way. And that's because both Warner Media and Apple offered J.J. Abrams and his production company Bad Robot deals to create brand new IPs and new takes on ones they already own back in June of 2019. More than likely with the main focus to make exclusive content for HBO Max and Apple TV Plus respectively, only to side and sign with Warner Media 3 months later in a deal that's worth $500 million. So when the internet remembered that this deal between Warner Media and Bad Robot currently exists, the speculation regarding one of the projects from this deal that people immediately thought of told people that it must be Superman now that talks with Henry Cavill reprising his role have surfaced. And that goes double after hearing the news about how DC Films offered James Gunn damn near any property he wanted to make a movie about back when he was a free agent. So, to quote a very famous lyric from one of my favorite songs from En Vogue, and now it's time for a breakdown. Yes, the $500 million deal between Bad Robot and Warner Media does exist, and the production company has been making leeway in making new content based on new and currently existing IPs owned by Warner Brothers. However, since the time of the signing of it, there was no report, rumor or otherwise, of any Superman project from any credible news sources. Even Abrams said in a press junket when he was promoting Star Wars Rise of Skywalker that not only has he not talked to Warner Brothers about any Superman project, but that he was just in the dark as everyone else was regarding whether or not his deal would extend to the properties of DC Comics. We actually wouldn't hear anything about Bad Robot taking the mantle of any DC property, HBO Max or otherwise, until January of 2020. When Deadline was the first to report that one of the first projects Bad Robot would be making for Warner Media as a result of the deal revolving around the territory of DC Films was not a Superman movie, but a Justice League Dark series for HBO Max. The kicker here is that we wouldn't even get a solid confirmation about that until 3 months later in April, when it, a brand new IP called Duster, and the Shining spin-off / prequel series Overlook were all confirmed as the first 3 projects from the deal between Bad Robot and Warner Media that will hit HBO Max. Still no sign of a Superman movie though. So am I saying that Abrams having his hands in a Henry Cavill Superman project is out of the realms of possibility? Absolutely not. Especially since we don't know for sure if this deal is strictly for content regarding HBO Max and can't extend to theatrical releases. All I'm saying is that while it's fine to speculate and think, what if JJ is working on Henry Cavill's next Superman movie? Unless there's more info to properly upgrade that what if to a confirmed status, it's pretty premature to take the word of a rumor. Like, just because Game Rant is writing articles about a Kingdom Hearts series coming to Disney Plus doesn't immediately mean I believe it, because the rumor originally broke from sites like We Got This Covered after one tweet from a social media influencer said it was happening, and they are trash. Fun to speculate? Yes! But if you actually believe that a Kingdom Hearts series is coming to Disney Plus from one article by We Got This Covered and hasn't been reported by any other reputable news source, then once again, I have some weight loss tea I want to sell you that you can only get through Facebook. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below who you'd want to write and or direct the next Superman movie with Henry Cavill in it if J.J. Abrams isn't to your liking. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class, an instance in which people were saying one thing to you, but lack of information and credible sources kept you from immediately drinking the Kool-Aid. Whichever one you decide to answer, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.